otherwise, and counting all our tears and sighs. Nay, let them only see us while we wear the mask. Interesting. So as I stop here and think, what mask is he talking about? Take a second. What mask might he be talking about? Yes, Juliet.
The mask of making it seem like you are happy
Whoa, who is we?
and black.
He says the mask that makes it seem like we're happy. Now, what led you to believe that?
We wear the mask that brings alive.
Yeah. We wear the mask that grins and lies. I see a little bit of personification in that first line. The first line shows me a mask that grins and lies. A mask doesn't have features to grin. A mask cannot lie. So that means that he's using personification to display his actual feelings at the time. We smile, but oh great Christ, our cries to thee from tortured souls arise. We sing, but oh the clay is vile, beneath our feet and long the mile. But let the world dream otherwise. We wear the mask. Interesting. He keeps talking about this mask that we wear. Jalea has already explained to us. This mask is worn by what people? Black people. More importantly, disenfranchised people at the time. Because what are they going through? Jim Crow laws. Nobody wants to experience Jim Crow or inequalities. So like you guys told me, they're wearing this mask to kind of mask their feelings. I want to give you guys the next 5 minutes. No, not 5. I'll give you 3 minutes to reread stanzas 1 and 2. Independently. And then we'll talk about what the first 2 stanzas are mostly about. Any questions? Thank you for your complete sentences, Shay. We wear the mask that grins and lies. It hides our cheeks and shades our eyes. So let's talk, guys. The first 2 stanzas are mostly about, we'll come to this conclusion together. Start us off, Kiedra, what did you find the first 2 stanzas to be about? Why they want people to wear it. What is the it? Want people to wear what? Huh? Okay. And where do I buy this mask? Huh? Where do I buy this mask from, Tasha? Huh? You're right. You can't buy it. So what mask are they talking about, Michael? Right. I like where you're going with this. Keep going. Absolutely. So like Tarshell said, it's not a mask that we can buy. It's a mask that black people, a figurative mask, imaginative mask, that black people have put on in order to mask their true feelings. We wear the mask that grins and lies. So they put on a fake face that smiles and it lies. It tells a lie. It hides our cheeks and shades our eyes. Real quick, just as an example. If I do this, how many of you guys can see me? If I do this, can you see my exact facial expression?
No.
So can you tell if I'm happy or sad in the day?
No.
Cool. This debt, what is a debt? Morgan, if I say you got a debt, what does that mean? You owe something, absolutely. This debt we pay to human guile. Guile is defined at the bottom of your page. Oh, it was defined at the bottom. A human guile is like an obligation. This debt we pay to human guile, with torn and bleeding hearts we smile. The use of imagery in line 4. Torn and bleeding heart. Sounds painful. If you could imagine a torn and bleeding heart, what does that look like to you? Huh? I think I heard a lot before. Oh. Yeah, ew. It sounds painful. It sounds disturbing. With torn and bleeding hearts, we smile. You think you can smile through a bleeding heart? You can try, but do you think it'll be easy? So again, we're looking at a struggle. In mouth with myriad subtleties. Myriad subtleties are kind of like what Kenneth told us. When you look at you like, yes sir, yes ma'am. When you're forced to be, not generous, but when you're forced to be courteous, even when you don't want to. Why should the world be overwise in counting all our tears inside? Nay, let them only see us while we wear the mask. So what are the first 2 stanzas mostly about? Yes. A little bit louder, just say it sound loud.
Black Americans hide their pain and they don't want to show the world their suffering.
Black Americans hiding their pain and not wanting to show the world that they're suffering. I pulled the not suffering part, yes. Yeah, please. You should have some discussion. Add on.
I said these stanzas are about how black people are adjusting, how they actually feel day in and day out to stay alive.
Absolutely. Masking how they feel day in and day out to stay alive. The time period in which this was written is really, really important. The staying alive part comes in, and it is very, very important. We smile, but oh great Christ, our cries to thee from tortured souls arise. Tortured souls. Who are the tortured souls here, Denise? Louder. Our African Americans, absolutely. Our African Americans are the tortured souls that are crying out. To thee, from tortured souls arise. We sing, but oh, the clay is vile beneath our feet and long the mile. Long the mile just means we have a long way to go. Long journey ahead. But let the world dream otherwise. We wear the mask. What is this second this second stanza about? Hikmat, what'd you pull?
I said that black people try and hide how they suffer from the Jim Crow law.
Okay, I like that. Moving a little closer. Yes, ma'am, Jay.
I said this stanza shows how black people truly feel underneath their mask.
Okay. And then they're kind of talking about it here on the first 2 lines. I'm sorry, not the first lines, but the first 2 lines of the second stanza. Why should the world be overwise? Why should the world know everything that we're showing? And counting all our tears and sighs. What does it help that they see all of our tears, all of our sighs, all of our despair? What is it helping? Are they coming to our rescue?
No.
Absolutely not. So in order to survive, we're going to wear a mask. And again, this is not a real mask, it's a figurative mask. A mask in order to survive. So what is this last stanza about? This last stanza is about the long journey, and again, African Americans continuing to mask their pain. I see some imagery in that third stanza. So let me go ahead and pull out the text. Perfect. So as we have our worksheet in front of us, we're going to work through our thinking job together. So we have our title of the text. Go ahead, talk to me. Thank you. Actually, I'll actually pull this up. The genre here. What's the genre?
Nonfiction.
Poetry. Very easy.
How do you know?
How do you know? Yeah, it's poetry.
How do you know? How do you know it's poetry? Look at the text, and how do you know that it is poetry? Because somebody said nonfiction, so we have to clear up this misconception. Mike, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Denise. I can't hear you.
Because of the way how it's shaped and like it's like written. The rest of the
Okay, so you're talking about the structure, so the way that that it's shaped. Michael, add on. What were you going to say?
I was gonna say the same thing.
Okay. Any other ways we know that this is poetry? Nothing.
Thank you, Denise. Structure and rhythm lets us know that this is poetry. Absolutely. So when we think about poetry, we have to look at our thinking job. Our thinking job is different from our fiction thinking job because we have to only identify 3 different aspects. First is our speaker. When we talk about our speaker, who is talking in the actual poetry? It's not always going to be the writer. It's not always going to be the person who wrote the poem. So let's do a little bit of thinking. Our speaker here. We know that the person who wrote it is African American, but who does it look like is speaking? Let's go back to the text. He says, "We wear the mask." You guys have already told me who the we is, and the we is who? African Americans. Cool. So an African American. And does this African American seem like they are happy with their situation? So what word do we use to describe this African American writer or this speaker? I don't want to keep calling him a poet because he might not be the person who actually wrote it. So what adjectives will we use to describe him? Ken, start us off. What adjectives will we use to describe him? Just based off of what he said. Hurt? Okay. Who is hurt? Would you say he's hurt physically? Would you say that he's like physically hurting? Mentally. Anybody would like to add on? Mike? I'm going to say he's hurt emotionally. The speaker is an African American. We don't know if it's a young man or woman, but he is hurt emotionally. He's hurting, and he's hurting about the plight of black people in America at the time. Now we have to think, what is our literal meaning? What is the literal meaning of this text? I'll give you guys about 30 seconds to think about it. You guys are going to get, I'm going to call on 3 different people to get a response. What is the literal meaning of this text? What is literally happening in this poem? All right, guys, coming up on 30 seconds. Cool. What is the literal meaning of this text? What do you think, Delonte?